Okay, so this is the third part of the first stage. Start off with our sketch, transferred our sketch, one object up from our sketch onto here, which is a reference point, which is, we decided to go with or I decided to go with the water pitcher, which is here. And then the second object I drew was the Tupperware form, which is here. And the third object I'm gonna draw is this box. It's real simple. It looks difficult because it's so big, but it's actually easier because it is large. And what I'm going to do is, the other thing I was going to say, you can't see the back part of it because it's hidden, clearly, because it's behind here. Sorry, it is behind, it's probably like right there, but you can try to follow where those lines might meet. And you could just like cite it. For example, if I were to cite it here, this line would go back there, this line would go back there, right? So if you follow that line, that the pencil is right in line with the top of the cardboard, or let's go with the bottom of the cardboard. So the bottom of the pencil is now with the cardboard. So right kind of where maybe, right around there is where it would exist, that back line. So you can use logic and reason to figure out where the back line is. All right, the farthest right line, which is right here, from my point of view, is a little bit to the right of the widest part of that picture. That's so easy. I don't have to really measure. I can just kind of mark it. Let's make sure I have the right pencil. Interesting. Sorry, I just lost my pencil. I have to go with my B. Okay. I must have brought it somewhere. Oh, there's why. Okay, we're almost back to where we were. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line. Or make a line, and that's what I'm doing with this pencil here. I'm making a vertical plumb line right on the edge of that box, right? And it's right here, a vertical plumb line. And I'm looking at that line, and it's going past, or I'm looking at the distance between that line and the bottom part of the water pitcher. Remember, the bottom part of the water pitcher is inside the Tupperware, so it might be hard for you to see, but I can see it here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a vertical line, and I'm holding my arm just like this. I'm extending my arm all the way out. I'm making a vertical line, plumb line, closing one eye, and I'm looking how far that line is away from the water pitcher. It's like that far away. So I'm going to put a line right here, or a mark right there. Not a line, a mark. A little bit to the right of the edge of the water pitcher. I'm going to make a line vertically down, or just a vertical line. That is the cardboard. Now I'm going to look at this side. And I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm going to use this thing as my line. And watch this trick. Actually, I have to do the trick here. So imagine if I make a line, not imagine, I'm going to make a line out of this guy right here. But I'm going to measure the distance between this line and the edge of the water pitcher, right? Just like what I'm doing. And I'm going to compare that to the water pitcher. And it looks like it's a little bit more than half the size of the water pitcher. Again, relative information. I have this information. That's my point of reference. I'm going to compare almost everything to that because I know that's correct. Don't start comparing to things that you just drew in because they could be slightly off. Always use your home base point of reference. All right, so I'm going to do that same measurement this way. It basically comes out to be the same thing. It's a little bit more than half. So if this is the halfway point, remember this is the water pitcher. I'm just going to use this line here. If this is the halfway point, I'd say it was like here, from this distance to here. It was a little bit more than halfway, like a heavy half. And so I'm going to get my paper, mark it from here to the edge, and then I'm going to go from here and mark it here. And I think you can see what I just did. I'm trying to lean back. Might need to be a yes. And this is a big long line, so I'm going to line it up and just make sure it's vertical. All right. So far, so good. And if I just take a quick assessment, this edge is a little bit out from there, and it looks about right. So everything is starting to transfer pretty well in terms of proportion. So when I do draw the ellipse and all that stuff, I don't have to worry about scale. I don't have to worry about any of that. All I have to worry about is making that ellipse perfect. But we're not going to get to that until we get all the proportion. Because if there's something's off and you have to move it over to the left or the right, it's so much easier to move a rectangle than it is to something you've already committed to. You spend an hour drawing. You're not going to want to move that. All right, the bottom of the box. What I'm going to do is I'm going to measure, because I can't see the back, so I don't want to imagine what that measurement is. But I can see right here, right where it meets the Tupperware thing, and I can see down here. I'm going to measure that, and I'm looking for something equivalent, but the only thing I can really compare it to is this water pitcher. So I'm wondering if the height of this is equivalent to the width of the water pitcher, or maybe the height of this is equivalent to almost the height of the water pitcher. Let's see. So basically what I'm measuring is this from, yeah, like right there where my thumb is. And then I'm going to like, sorry. The second you move forward or back. That's hard. I have to do it this way. It's slightly bigger than the water pitcher's width, and it's slightly shorter than the water pitcher's height. But it's a lot easier because it was just like that much bigger than the width. So I'm going to add to the width from here to here, and I'm going to take that measurement, which is my piece of paper I'm going to use again. I'm going to take that measurement from here to the edge, that mark I just made, and I'm going to put it down here. And then I'm going to make a horizontal line. Because remember, that just represents the bottom. And I'm going to erase some of this stuff here. And it's funny, because I was concerned, oh no, it wasn't, because this is the lower. Once I put this water or wine glass in, this ellipse down here is lower on the paper than this corner, and I have plenty of room for it. Happy about that. So it's all going to fit. Crossing my fingers, because that's going to be here. And to be honest, I just realized that my tissue box might be cropped off. Not a big deal. We'll figure out a solution there. So this is here, and I want to find the back corner, which I can't see. I'm going to have to imagine those two lines meeting, this one and where that would be. So I'm just going to try to do that now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to angle this there, and I'm going to remember where it's intersecting that plastic form. And I'm going to angle this here. I think it's about right here is the back of the box. It seemed like those two lines were going to meet the picture about, doing this in reverse, about right there, something like that. So that's about, and it's okay to make a guess like this. You can't really see it, and you can make those final adjustments once you start to draw the form. You'll notice if it's a bit off. You're like, oh, maybe it was higher. I'm just going to put this in there now, and this is where you can start to give yourself notes. This thing is the box. Picture. Plastic. Okay, so I'm just giving myself little notes of what's what. Now I have my three main large objects established, and I can just build from that point out. Slowly but surely, you'll have this filled up, and you can do it within a few hours. 2 hours probably. So the next object I would draw is this bowl here, and I'm just trying to figure out its width first. So, and you can't even see the tissue box in the video until I move the camera over. All right, so I'm measuring the individual characteristics of the bowl and just kind of see what its proportions are. It's like a 1 to 1 3/4. I'll use that information later. I'm trying to figure out. Okay. I'm trying to figure out where the bottom of the bowl is. So the bottom of the bowl, if I hold a perfectly vertical line like this in front of me, it will intersect this form. And I'm going to do it right here. So the bowl, this is a horizontal line, the bowl's right there, and you can see where it intersects that box. It's like right there, right on the corner, like right there. From my viewpoint, because my eyesight's a little, or angle is a little different, it intersects it actually right here, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold this up, and I'm gonna measure the distance down. So what I just figured out is right here, the bottom of the bowl is halfway the distance between this corner and where it intersects the cardboard box goes underneath that plastic form. That's pretty simple. Also, all I have to do is find the halfway point between this space right here, and that is, I guess it's right here, so I'm just gonna measure to see if that's, nope. It's a little lower than what I thought. There you go. So that line represents the bottom of the bowl. The top of the bowl is pretty simple because the top of the bowl, and this is what I like to do, and I think I showed you this in another video, but I like to hold a ruler straight out like so, and I'm trying to get the top of the bowl. If I use both my hands, here, I'm going to cover it. I'm trying to get the top of the bowl and line it up with something. Do you see how it's just a little bit below the Tupperware plastic form? That's all the information I need. It's just a little bit below it. And since I have the Tupperware form here, it's a little bit below it. But not from my viewpoint. And my viewpoint is actually a little bit above it. I think. I was about to put it in. I'm like, that's a pretty short bowl. So from my point of view, it's a little bit above. And it's actually perfectly in line with the water pitcher. So all I have to do is extend the line of the water pitcher. That's the top of the bowl. And how much of the bowl is seen on the right-hand side? How much of it is being exposed? I can measure the width of the bowl. And what is it comparable to? Just a quick visual assessment. What does it look like this similar size to? The width of the water pitcher. And that is our point of reference. So you can kind of measure this and you can compare it to the width of the water pitcher. And it looks like it's a little smaller. I can't tell until I do it here. It is. It's a little smaller. And it's funny because I thought it was going to be bigger, but that's why measuring is so important, because you're usually confronted with a different truth. So if this is the width of the water pitcher, it was a little bit shorter, and the tip of the pencil represents what I saw how much shorter it was. So that's my measurement. It was about that much short. So I take this over here, I put this right on the line that exists because that's the cardboard, and I'm going to put my finger right there and I'm going to mark it. And before I mark it, I'm just going to double check something. Yes. This is my water pitcher. Now I could have used the paper there. Not my water pitcher, this is my bowl. Sorry. And remember I talked about the width of the bowl versus the height. So the height of the bowl the proportion above the bowl was 1 to 1 3/4 because I can't see the other side of the bowl. You can in there, but if I look over and lean my head over, it's a symmetrical form. It's going to be the same measurement whether I'm across the room. So I'm going to measure this again. 1. Yes, it's like 1 to 1 3/4. So I'm just going to double check the height. Should count 1 to 1 3/4. So that's 1. That would be 2. So I half it and then I half it again. That's about 1 to 3/4. So now I'm going to draw a line straight up. So I just basically subtracted 1/4 off by making it 2, cutting that in half, and then cutting it in half again. So this is the bowl. Bowl is done. Move on to the next. I could do the plate that's underneath the bowl. Remember, it overlaps the bowl quite a bit. And then after that, I could do the you can't see it, but I could do the objects in front of it, the object back there, the wine glass that is right here. It's all starting to pan out. So my next video, I'm going to show you guys, actually I'll do one more form really quickly, and we're at 16 minutes. I'll do this wine bottle. When you draw the wine bottle, I can't remind you again, you should draw the wine bottle as the widest part, vertical and horizontal lines. Do not do any of the shaping yet. But the wine bottle. Quick assessment from my viewpoint. It's a little bit, from my viewpoint, it's actually closer, but the distance between here and here almost looks equivalent to the thickness of the wine bottle, right? So you could measure the wine bottle and then measure this and put it in. But in my case, it's really close to the cardboard box. It's about that close. I'd say it's even closer, like right there. So that's just a quick guesstimate, and it's pretty close. I don't really have to worry about too much about it. So that's going to be the right side of the wine bottle, that line there. And the height of the wine bottle, the highest point is in line. It's a little bit below this plastic part. So I know where the plastic part is. It's right here. So I'm just going to go a little bit lower. Make sure my line is straight. I'm trying to line it up with something that exists here. There you go. I found something. There you go. That's the height. I'm just going to erase some of these lines so you don't confuse. Okay. That's the height. How low is the wine bottle compared to the corner of this guy? You can see I'm measuring, trying to hold this perfectly horizontal, which would represent like the horizontal line at the bottom of the page. And I have a measurement, but I need to compare it to something. 1, 2, 3.5. Count 3.5 times into the width of the reference point, which is water pressure. 1, 2. It's gonna be about that big. All right, so I found it. It's about this big, and I'm working a little faster now because at this point you kind of get the idea. And what I'm doing is I'm adding this onto the bottom. That's how much lower this is from the corner of that box. So I have the bottom, I have the top, I just don't have the left side, and that's where you measure the individual proportions of the wine bottle, widest part, which is right there. It counts 1, 2, 2.5. So if I'm going to guess that mark is it, so I'm going to see if this counts 2.5 times. 1, 2. Nope, it's a little shorter than that. 1, 2. That's about good. Right there. So that is the width of the wine bottle. and the wine bottle is in. Now I am a little fearful. I have a little bit extra room here, and I'm getting close to the border here. I kind of wish that I went a little bit to the left, and probably my sketch wasn't that accurate. I'm paying for it now. Not a big deal. I will make adjustments later, and I can solve that problem down the road. So you can kind of see the wine bottle here. Again, rectangles, all rectangles. I'll fill in the rest. Once the rectangles are finished, then I can start to break down the form, and that's going to be the next stage. So until then, I'll see you.